Umntana wam ukhulile autism, was diagnosed at 3 years, I think 9 months. Obviously at the time we didn't know uba yintoni le asafarishayo. Uyalila, we don't know what he wants, intona ngayifuni nje kubi. But then obviously the pediatrician would be like, no, this is just a delay, don't worry, it's not a problem, you know. But then there was something funny because it was a daycare center. We didn't have a name, so it was a daycare center. So when I say daycare center, we were so concerned about le nto angazenzi ezinye izinto ezenziwa ngabanye abantwana. Upstairs phaa angonyuki, bongonyukile akafuni ukwehla. And uthatha obhaka abantwana abasuse phana eshelfini ababeke phaa. But we'll remember uba ebephi na ubhaka phinda babeke. So it was weird too, abantu base daycare. And then we went again. Eventually we were referred to a clinical psychologist. And the story then says up to this point. But for me in particular, it was quite a very difficult situation because interestingly, I was teaching a module on all of these barriers to learning, and autism was one of them. So I would stand in front of the student teachers and talk about autism. This is what you need to do, you know, when you teach your child. And then when my own child was diagnosed with autism, I'm like, no, let me go back to that book. And I realized that maybe it was God's way of preparing me for what lied ahead, because I didn't really understand why I was given that module, because it's not in my area of specialization, like educational psychology. But you know God's ways, nobody knows, you know, uba yena wenza kanjani na. But to cut the long story short, I think 2014 I resigned from my job. I went to Pretoria. At that time I was also going through a process of divorce, so it was a lot of things going on. But I went to Pretoria. When I got there, you know, when you are divorced, you're like, oh Lord, is salary one go? Who's going to take care of Tommy and all of those things? So I thought, oh yeah, anyway, there is a God who is the provider, who supplies all of our needs according to his riches and glory. And at that time, Bukumi had a lot of eczema, and he was on gluten-free food. Yes, a lot of eczema. I don't know if you noticed, there were some pics that are shared at some stage. It's because of these things where it's kaba, you see? But so I really asked God, I said, listen, here's the situation now. I can't afford to buy gluten-free food. It doesn't matter if it's helping him or not. But then you have to prove yourself as a God who is a healer. And this is the child, please. We're going to feed him with vegetables. You know, I won't put spices in his food, whatever it is that needs to be done. But no gluten-free food. I don't want anything to do with diet or anything like that. I'm just trusting you for a divine intervention. And I would love you to do this for me. Amen. I left it there. I promise you it was a matter of weeks. Tumi's skin cleared. White everything, white your wheat pigs, everything that we eat. And I thought to myself, well, if this is the situation, I am not going to be alone. There is God who's going to, you know, start working on this. Then I started to think differently about the situation, because it was very difficult for me to accept, you know, because it's so difficult to raise a child who is different, who is differently able. And I didn't really think I had the capacity, because I work in an institution of higher learning. So our work doesn't end. She can attest to that. We work all the time. And some of you who are teachers, you know, that's how it is. It never stops. You have to do research, you do community engagement, you teach, you have to prepare. You have to go everywhere, you travel, you go overseas, you go everywhere. So there is no time. So this was becoming a little bit of an inconvenience in my view, only to learn later on that some children are born like that. Other children are born differently from my child. And therefore it's just a question of learning how to raise a child who is different, who has autism. So that is where my journey started. Then I started writing my book long time ago. just to outline everything that is happening, his milestones, what I feel, what I think, and all of that. But that was not enough. I felt that, what if there are other parents who are also going through, similar experience? Maybe they have also been battling with accepting the situation. They've been battling with potty training. Oh, I don't even want to talk about it. Been battling with potty training, been battling with low muscle tone. I mean, Ukumi, oh my God. So, esithi so, uyibamba izinto ziwe. Izandla zisebenzi, andiyazi man. Uhamba ifizio, utyokotyoko, xa ndimjonga ngoku ndithi it can only be God. This dog. So when I post it with blog like into azenzayo, I'm like, really, wena ubambe ibrush wena. Uyambise so ubambe into wena ngezandla zakho ebezingasebenzi zivele zisebenze. So yena, it was a situation apho ubona ingathi ubunjwa ngokuya ekhula. Ufike engumuntu nje kuba ephefumula, but izinto zenzeka ngokuya ekhula. So that is why every day I'm so grateful and I really give the glory to God. So e-university ke apho sebenza khona kubakho into ekuthiwa yi-community engagement. You have to do a project. Sisithandi, for instance, when the project maths teachers at UTN by train on how to teach mathematics, that's a community engagement. That is, you service the community. That is why, for instance, when you come to these things, you don't pay entry fee. Session is 100 rand. It's because it's a community engagement. We service. So what better way for me to service the community other than having us here as parents who are raising children with autism? So that is how this started. I started in 2019. That is how we were launching it. So what we do, basically, we come together in a community of practice. We are more or less, on the same, I would say, I don't want to say level, on the same threshold level. Apho umuntu ngamnye kukho into ecommon phakathi kwam naye. Loo nto leyo kukukhulisa umntana one-autism. So kwi-community of practice ke nifika nabelane ngezimvo zenu around that issue. Akho mntu utitsha omnye uba umntu ngamnye apho uyi-expert yomntana wakhe. Akho mntu uzosuka phaa azokuxelela whatever. It's just that you add something that you don't know. So for mna ke ngoku the major part of this community engagement ukuba abazali benze ii-activities. Xa uhleli nomntana wakho nge-weekend masithi uyafunda esikolweni, wenzani naye nge-weekend, wenzani naye nge-holiday. You need to be able to do some activities naye. So that is the major part of this community of practice. Hence kukho eza handbox nentoni. So uChumi ke is homeschooled. Why esikolweni ngoko siya esikolweni, but I was never happy with the school because I'm a teacher by profession. So isikolo will never be fine for yena. Because I know exactly what needs to happen in a school situation, and it was not happening. I remember there were times uteacher wakhe ndimthathe mna ngokwam ndimse kwi-training yo-teacher because akasiwa kwesi sikolo. Ndifika classroom, how can a classroom yabantwana ibe empty, there are no pictures, nothing. I would go and buy all of those things. Ndithi kuyabanda, I would take imat endlini ndizoyibeka classroom. So it was like, what is happening, And then when you ask questions based on the reports about zona abazali, they couldn't answer me. So I thought this is just a waste of time. I can't. Abantu abasurvive la situation ngolawyer nogqirha nabanye abantu ezinye careers because they have no idea of what is happening, like the pedagogical realities of a classroom. So that was the challenge that I had. There was no way I could allow my child to go through an education system that is inadequate. And the worst thing was ndoba mna ndivuka every day ndiye South Campus e-university ndiyo-teacher otitshala. Umntana utitshwa ngabani, utitshwa ngutitsha lonjani. Ndititsha otitshala abenza i-B.Ed, abenza i-honors, abenza i-masters, i-PhD. Umntana wami atitshwe ngutitsha ono-6, standard 6. ongakhange aye training school, ongakhange aye university, then I could not accept that. So those were the struggles that I had ukuze aphele esendlini. But ke ngoku it was a question yoba i-resources zizovelaphi. And I got to know, because I was also, at that time, I was teaching some of the students here, the foundation phase. And also one of our colleagues, Dr. Nochulan, who's no longer here, we used to talk about. And I thought, what about using what is at home, what is already there, as something that you can use as a learning resource, so that you just buy a few things. For instance, sweet. You don't throw these things away. They can be useful. Sorry. And then spray, you don't throw it away. Because bamfundisa ukusebenzisa imask zakho, gala amanzi apho kwenza azospraya. So, uzonke uyothenga ezinto kodwa ubune sanitizer endlini. So you keep all these things and you use them for abantwana bakho. So that is what we do. So now, njengoba nize apha nizofunda leyo nizoyifunda namhlanje, i-request yami into yoba xa ufika back kwakho ufundise someone else the same thing. So I'll also be giving you some of the activities that you can do. Share that information. Don't keep it with yourself. I'm sure most niyabona kwi-blog ndiyashare uba uxhumi wenzani, and noba khona abantu abathi ndizawuyenza le ndithi no, go ahead, do it. That is the whole point. You don't keep in knowledge. Xa ufile phana ezibhokisini ndazithini like le information, you need to be someone okwaziyo uyishare in-knowledge ukwenzela someone else akwazi ukufunda from that. Whatever wena onayo uthixo akuphe yona, you must learn ukuyishare with other people. So I just wanted to give you a background as to what is happening and why we are here. Okay. Right, so in a nutshell, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And yeah. So thathe roundi akho kude afuna ungena. Now in any event, bengicela nje umuntu athi ubani umama kabani umntana akho neminyaka emingaphi, just nje briefly 2 minutes each. So qala ngowe mama.
Mina ngifezeka Thothobe, ngumama kaZenande. uZenande is 12 years old, umfana akakwazi ukuthetha. Uhlala eNew Bright.
Okay.
Mina ndinombuzele kunokwatsha. Mama kaLimisi. Limisi una 7 years old. Uyathetha phana pha.
Uhlala kuno?
Ndihlala eDapa apha kaZakhe.
eDapa.
Mina ndingubabalo wakwambalula, ngwaseQonwe, and ndingumama kaImivuyo. Imivuyo is 10 turning 11 ngo-October. This is student apha eNMU, that's why ndilapha.
Molweni, ndinguLoyiso Mashawa, ndihlala eSummerstrand. Mna ndingutishara kubantwana aba-autistic.
I am Melelo. I am an autistic person.
Thanks for coming.
Molweni, igama lami ndinakuqola. I'm so sorry for being late. Ndihlala eSummerstrand, ndifunda khona. Ndizosupport uProf.
Igama lami ndinguAsanda Peters. Ndinomntana autism na-8 but abantwana bayi-3 nabo andifuna ubulawa ngilona asana-90 makusitotshele nto uAsanda special too much. So ndilapha for usupport nosupport. Thank you.
NdinguNoluthando, ndihlala eWoma. Ndingumama kaIbanathi noUsenathi, but autistic nguUsenathi. He just turned 5 ngoJuly. He's non-verbal.
Usakhala.
Okay.
Molweni. Mina ndingusanda ngemntu, ndingusister kaAsanda. Nomakazi kaAsalon lo autistic 8 years old. Ndizosupport sister wam ndizele nam phofu to gain information from.
Yeah, thanks.
Ndiyanibulisa igama lenkosi Yesu. Ndingunoma igama lam mangesi. Ndingumama kaZuzu, igama lakhe nguLizukise eligcweleyo noLibongwe. O-autistic ke nguZuzu. Una-7 turning 8 ngo-October. Ndihlala eTinarha.
Molweni, igama lam nguSunas Madlolo. Ndinomntana autistic ona-6. Ndihlala eTinarha.
Thank you so much.
Molweni, igama lam ngumfundisi wakhatywa, ndihlala eBridgemead. Ndinomntana oyintombazana ona-4 years. Igama lakhe nguViwe, udiagnosed ngoDisemba uba autistic. Udlule. Yes. So it's still very difficult. She is autistic with speech impairment.
Okay.
Molweni, igama lam ndinguziyanda. Ndihlala eJeffreys Bay, but umntana ulapha eMotherwell uhlala nomakhulu. Igama lakhe nguLiyaphuma, una-5 years. Into yakhe it's been 2 months now. Sisahamba i-speech therapist, so asikayazi ukuba uqhubeka ntoni, unantoni. Kuyo yonke loo nto leyo silinde i-speech therapist sisixelele ukuba ithini le nto. Una-5 years yibo.
Thank you.
Okay, bethu molweni nonke. Ndinguthandi, uThandi Wehlam, the head of department of the foundation phase apha eMissionville nikwam, and niamkelekile. My interest is to get a better understanding autism. And okwesibini ndibulela uProf Mdzanga for bringing this concept kuthi at awugqiba ayazi uba there are parents, there are educators who are responsible for abantwana aba-autistic, and that is going to make us as the university now to know into yobana we have a role to play, in as much that if you do allow me, Prof, we have a diploma in early childhood care and education esiyiplanayo that is in the process of development. It's one of the modules as abapaya because we need that better understanding and also to equip the teachers rather than waiting into bawuya special schools. So my interest is to be there and support you and know umhlambi what is it, Prof, that we can support you with. Because
thank you. But first of all, thanks for allowing us to come here. I think it's quite a nice thing. Thank you. Yeah. All right. So, we're introducing ourselves because we have already prayed. I gave the background, so it's just an introduction. And we felt that because it's cold, we can be cozy around the fire in Baula, although it's up. Right. So, welcome, Kosi. I'm sure some of you know Kosi. You don't? Okay. So Kosi is one of the people very much interested in autism education. We work together as a stakeholder in the university because we are designing 2 short learning programs. Many registration. Yes. 2 short learning programs. One of those is on just giving an introduction to autism, just a theoretical aspect. And the second module is on the teaching strategies that you can use. So you can choose any of the SLPs and you register, but I will let you know. That's why I need your phone numbers and everything. And therefore, I invited her to come here, just share her expertise around the challenging behavior. Like when we have kids, whatever. So she's going to share, her experiences in that regard. She also is a leader or maybe an owner, CEO of Umpanda Foundation, and has got a school as well, teaching children autism. So in case you don't have a school during 18 and uzoknika details, apply. Ni batan, fees. And you must pay the fees. But thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate that you made it during this weather. Okay. And next to Kosi, you know her. Yeah. She's so beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. So That is Candice's Chinese teacher. Okay. Yeah. So she came. Candice, I really appreciated that you came. I know you had to go to support your boys. Did they play?
They played in the rain. Everyone was sopping wet. That's why you must excuse my hair.
No, you still look beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I appreciate
It's a
it.
privilege.
And then when you have to introduce yourself and now your time.
My name is Kobisa Tukwayo.
Okay.
I'm a mother of 3, 2 boys and 1 girl. And for me being here, one of my daughters, Omio, she's autistic. So I'm so excited being here. Everything that has to do with autism, I have my interest in it. She is so interesting, so I'd also like to gain some tool or in some way, anything that can assist me to help her.
Yeah.
And I hear that there's also programs, like education programs. Yes. I've been telling my friend, this is my friend. I said we must just get ourselves involved with anything that has to do with learning, even if I have to change fields. I'm so in love with getting to know more information. Yeah.
And it's very important. Yeah, the one way to heal is to learn about this thing. Because mongazi noba kwenzekani uzothi wayesonyuka amadonga uzoba frustrated, but if you know why esonyuka udonga, then you will know, you know. So I really want to encourage the parents to read, but what we want to do as well is to translate what we have into isiXhosa and Afrikaans so that people can have access to information. Because sometimes when you read stuff about autism, sometimes it's too medical. You still have to find out what does that mean and all of that. So we really need to get into these communities of practice and we share information. Before you came, Candice knows. So before we came a community of practice, everyone is an expert here. So you talk whatever you want to say depending on what we are going to talk about. But the major thing about it are the activities that you have to go to do. Xa uphuma apho uzophuma une-skill, ufike ubize yakho i-community of practice kule ndawo uhlala kuyo, you train abantu abapha abanye phaya. That is what you need to do. I'm excited. Yeah, please, people, don't keep this to yourself. Please. No, it's like, sasisavangela ne, senza door to door. Ufike emzini, ufike ubaxele ngoYesu Kristu osindisayo, uphume uye. It's the same. Fika ubize yakho i-group, ubatrain, you move on and so forth. Nontando, who are you?
Apologies for being late. My name is Nontando Mlonzi. I have a son, he's 7, he has autism, and I have a daughter, she's 11, and she has ADHD. So my journey of early childhood development started with my daughter because obviously she was different. She just has energy for days and very creative at the same time. So those things like lining up, you know, when you line up shoes, when she did those things. So she had some autistic tendencies. So I knew that there were some behaviors that were similar to my son that my daughter used to do. But obviously when he didn't speak and he was 1.5 years, and they would say, no, it can't be autism. And by then I was on the internet, I was on Facebook, I was on everything, and everything was telling me, Mama, this is autism. And the doctor was saying, no, it's too young. The one report I got when he was 3 years old from Provincial Hospital said he has autistic tendencies, but he doesn't have autism. And I was like, guys, it's okay, you can tell me, it's okay, I'm ready to accept it, it's okay. And anyway, we kept going, seeing speech therapists, seeing OTs, and I would sit in the session and I would say, first, before we start the session, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So how is this play going to help me? So that I would understand, and then, okay, now we're going to see you in 2 weeks' time. So what do I do in the meantime? And they would tell me, okay, this is the games that you can play with him in the meantime until next time. And just to cut a long story short, my son started saying mama when he was 4 years old. And his dad was also mama, his granny was also mama, his teacher was also mama. So everyone of authority was mama. But now, just this morning, his father showed him a picture of him when he was 1 year old. He says, Zine, look, there's Zine. I asked him to English. For some reason, children don't speak English. I have colleagues at work who have grandkids. They grow up in an African-speaking home. They watch Afrikaans TV, but they speak English in an American accent. My son speaks in an English accent. He likes Peppa Pig, so he speaks in an English accent. Yeah. So he said to us, Dad, no, that's not me. I'm big.
Oh,
I was
that's
like,
good.
I wish I could. Can you repeat that? So he knows, but that's a baby. I'm big.
Yeah, that's good.
So they do get better, but in their own pace.
Yes.
And we, as autism mothers, celebrate what looks like silly
I
things
know.
to the next person, but to us, we know it's a big thing.
Exactly.
So I just love to know, and even at work, I work in a call center, there's about 150 of us. Everyone knows I am the autism ambassador. If you want to know anything, if your child is doing something strange and odd, ask me. So they know I proudly wear my badge that I'm an autism mom, and it's something that has been held as a secret for so many years, and I want our children to be out there and to be free for us to say my child has autism. So what?
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I love coming to these workshops. Because
And Nokhanyo was one of the people when I started the blog. She was one of the people on the blog.
I wanted to start a blog. That's why. So I thought, she's doing exactly. So I'm very supportive.
Yeah. And she always comes to everything that I do. So she's my number one support. Kaiser Chiefs. Thank you so much. I appreciate it that you are here. Candice, would you like to say a few things and maybe just a bit of experiences too?
You'll have to stop me if I go too long. So I'm Candice. I am a teacher. I studied psychology, and then I started teaching, and then I studied remedial therapy, and then I had my own 3 sons, and then I stopped working full-time with my colleague. We used to be colleagues. Yes, and then for a while I wasn't doing much, and then we came across my path, and then many other children. And I feel so blessed to be here. Every time I do anything with Prof, then with Makatomi as I call it, then I feel so blessed. I learn so much from each and every one of you, and I'm excited to learn whatever we learn here today and take it back to my Umi. Yes, I think the biggest thing that I've learned from Umi is that I can never assume that I know. He's a teenager, I must not forget it. He thinks he knows. And sometimes he does know better than I do. And just because he doesn't speak doesn't mean he doesn't know. Just because he doesn't speak doesn't mean he's also going through teenage things and he wants to be assertive and wants to do what he wants to do, or sometimes not. And yes, I've had to learn to roll with the punches that way, but I'm loving it because it's a humbling experience. I just learn from him every single day. I love it. And thank you for having me. I hope you're going to get to play a bit just now.
Yeah, definitely.
And get to get dirty and messy. I love that.
Okay. At this point, thank you so much. I really appreciate it that you came. And at this point, I'm going to ask Kosi just to share, Kosi, your whatever, 20 minutes.
Don't joke. 20 minutes is like 1 second.
I know.
And when I start with autism, I can't stop. Can I sit here?
Yes,
It's cozy. It's nice. I'm late. I'm apologizing for that. I was busy. There's a child near where I stay. He lost the father 5 years ago, I think. And he lost the mother in December. He is staying with a nanny. He is at my center. Staying with a nanny. The aunts, one is in East London and one is in Port Alfred. They are doing nothing. They are not even trying to get to know the child. Like, I want you to think, to really think and do something. The cries of parents who come to me is, what will happen to my child if I die or when I die? That's the cry of the parents. We cannot run away from that. I am experiencing that now. I have to be a mother there. In so much, I've told the executor of FNB that I want the child taken out of my center because I find myself in family things. I don't need that. I don't need that. There's too much on my plate. I love that child. I love the nanny. We were like close with the mother. But it's too much for me. I cannot take it. And they're not doing anything. I asked them to take the child out of my school. And they say, we are going to do it. No, we can't do it. And even the executor, this Selina lady, is saying, because I'm trying to find a place, but I'm still looking after the child. The worst part, one of the aunts wanted a money from a guy who happens to be my in-law who is in Canada. This guy called me, because how can you do this? How can I do what? The aunt is saying, I think the aunt is getting some money from him. The aunt wanted to do an eye operation or something. The aunt said to him, I said to her that this boy must not put his foot at the center without bringing 3,000 up front. What 3,000? And I say to this brother-in-law, I am transporting the kid free of charge because they are refusing to pay me. The child is at my center without no school fees. How can I do that? You know, I'm in that soups. I have to fight, I have to do this and that. Think about who to want. Because it's not necessary to live to a sister who doesn't care about your child. Even the executors, the trustees, they are going to waste your money. Everybody's going to do something, but if your child is getting love, at least love, whether it's your friend, it's your colleague, think about this. It's there, it's true. Can I start now?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
Just yesterday, I was talking about that with my colleague, about what is going to happen when we are no longer around. And you know, exactly. I'm lucky that my sister and I are very close.
Okay.
So even now, he was on holiday for 3 weeks at her in East London. 3 weeks. December, it was 5 weeks. Everyone at work. I was wearing makeup. I was like, guys, I have time in the morning.
I think it's because of your personality. You know, I don't know you, but the few minutes you were talking, I learned something from your personality. I'm sure it's there.
And you know, a colleague of mine doesn't have kids, but she's always so excited and so interested in all the progress that I'm always telling her about my son. And she said that she would like to leave some money for my son if she passes on, because she's leaving money for her kids, and then that one's kids and that one for the family. And I felt so bad, you know, because I do talk about what will happen, who is the child going to live with. So let's say my sister's also not around, because right now I'm happy to say it's my sister, but my parents are old, and then what happens if they are also gone? What is the next place? So I came across a place called Let Us Assist. On Facebook, they have an organization that takes care, especially for final expenses, for people who only have one child, and sometimes we don't write wills, and then we expect the state to take care of the child, and like you say, the executor doesn't care. No. Where is that child going to live? Even if your child is in a school with a hostel, what happens in December time when the hostel is closed? Who is going to stay with your child when schools are closed for 5 to 6 weeks? In December, when they haven't had training.
Since the mother died, no one is taking the child. But they want the mother's.
But they want the money.
Yes. They want everything. They want everything.
I think that should be our next topic.
Yes, I think talk about it.
Yes, we need to. It really needs to be outlined, because we really need to also establish if you have taken a policy for your child. Because you can't leave those people who are alive with, you know, a responsibility. And also, have you done some savings? You know, those kind of things which are real. So we really thank Kosi for raising that. It's really a topic for discussion. Over to you.